I'm recording this video in January, right before the holiday that recognizes the holiday that honors Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is a time to focus on the accomplishments of the civil rights movement, and there's no one who deserves more recognition for this very important movement than John Lewis. Here are 5 lessons I learned from watching the documentary Good Trouble about the life and times of the late congressman and civil rights icon. Number 5. Keep a positive mindset. Abolishing the Jim Crow laws that kept African Americans from advancing was not, of course, one long string of nonstop victories. There were many setbacks and dark times that looked like there was no reason to hold out hope that society would ever change for the better. But activists like John Lewis, who spoke at the historic March on Washington and once chaired the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC, clung to hope. In the documentary, Congressman Lewis's longtime assistant, Ruth Berg, says one of the most important lessons she learned from him was, "Don't get lost in a sea of despair." That sentiment is as relevant today as it was back in the 1950s and 60s. Number 4, loss is a part of life. The section of the documentary that deals with the death of Lewis's wife, Lillian Miles Lewis, in 2012, after 44 years of marriage, is moving. Somehow, Congressman Lewis found the strength to cope with the loss and carry on, as he did throughout his entire life. His sister, Ethel Mae Tyner, sums up her brother's approach to losing loved ones. Love them, but you gotta let them go. Number 3, the importance of friendship. Alliances have always been important in social justice movements. The documentary shows how when Congressman Lewis and his friend of 25 years, Julian Bond, who was a civil rights legend in his own right, competed in a contentious race for the same congressional seat in 1986, the campaign strained their relationship. But after Congressman Lewis won the race, he and Bond were able to put their differences behind them and remain friends. The example that these two giants of the civil rights movement set, that people are more important than power, is something that we should all take to heart. Number 2, the importance of not taking yourself too seriously. The documentary shows Congressman Lewis greeting constituents and making time to speak with people who don't even live in his district when he's walking through airports and other public places. In the documentary, Congressman Lewis's son, John Miles, says that walking through an airport with his father was tedious because people were always stopping to talk to his father, and Congressman Lewis graciously stopped and talked with everyone. The documentary also includes footage of a viral video in which Congressman Lewis dances to the song "Happy" by Pharrell Williams. That video shows that although Congressman Lewis took on some very weighty issues in his lifetime, he had a great sense of humor and a lighthearted approach to life. Lord knows that's something we could all use right now. Number 1, the importance of perseverance. Until I saw Good Trouble, I had forgotten that Congressman Lewis had joined with some of his colleagues in Congress in trying to pass comprehensive voting rights legislation. The documentary reminds you that this is not a new struggle, that the fight against voter suppression has long been going on. It's been going on for years and, depressingly, continues to this day. Good Trouble also notes that Congressman Lewis was at the forefront of gun safety legislation and participated in a sit-in on the floor of Congress on June 22, 2016, in the aftermath of the Orlando nightclub shooting. Sit-ins were, of course, one of the major civil disobedience tools that Congressman Lewis and his activist peers used in the 1950s and 60s to bring awareness to important issues during the civil rights movement. So, his life and career came full circle. The title of the documentary, Good Trouble, which was directed by Dawn Porter, is the phrase that Congressman Lewis used throughout his life to describe necessary battles that he felt impassioned to take on in spite of the consequences. Congressman Lewis died of pancreatic cancer on July 17, 2020. His legacy lives on. If you like this video, please leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel.